Most of us go through life believing that our limits are set in stone, that our physical and mental boundaries are unchangeable, that the person we are today is the person we will always be. But David Goggins challenges this notion in the most profound way. He insists that the biggest barriers holding us back aren't out there in the world. They exist primarily in our minds. It's easy to think that when our body aches or we feel exhausted, we've reached our maximum. But Goggins teaches us that the real fight is mental. Our bodies can endure far more than we imagine, but the mind often tricks us into surrendering too early. The moment you start believing your limits are physical is the moment you give up on yourself. That's why breaking free from your old self begins with recognizing this truth. Most of the boundaries you see are mental constructs, illusions created by fear, doubt, and comfort-seeking. When you begin to accept that your mind is where the battle truly takes place, you start seeing challenges differently. Instead of running from discomfort, you face it head-on. Goggins often says, when you think you're done, you're only at 40% of your potential. This idea isn't just motivational fluff, it's a scientific reality about human endurance and capability. Think about moments when you felt like quitting something difficult. Whether it was a workout, a tough conversation, or pushing through a stressful day, those feelings of "I can't" are just your brain's way of protecting you from the unknown. The brain's default setting is comfort and safety, but growth demands discomfort. Recognizing that your limits are mostly mental allows you to redefine what's possible for yourself. But how do you train your mind to break through these invisible walls? That's where the concept of callousing your mind comes in. Just as your skin forms calluses when exposed to repeated friction and pressure, your mind can develop a resilience that makes it tougher over time. David Goggins intentionally places himself in uncomfortable situations again and again, not to punish himself, but to build an unbreakable mental callus. This means seeking out challenges that scare you, push you to your edge, or force you to confront your weaknesses. It's not about reckless endurance, but about calculated exposure to adversity, so your mind learns to tolerate discomfort and even thrive in it. This callous your mind approach changes everything about how you approach life's difficulties. Instead of avoiding pain or stress, you begin to welcome them as opportunities to grow stronger. When setbacks happen, instead of feeling defeated, you see them as training grounds for mental toughness. It's like lifting weights for your mind. The more you expose yourself to controlled hardship, the more powerful and resilient you become. Goggins doesn't just preach this, he lives it. From ultra-marathons to Navy SEAL training, he has repeatedly tested his mind and body under extreme conditions to toughen his mental state. And the result is a mindset that refuses to quit, no matter how tough things get. Most importantly, callousing your mind is a daily practice. It's not a one-time event or something reserved for extraordinary situations. Every day presents countless moments to build mental toughness, whether that's waking up early, pushing through fatigue, or choosing discipline over distraction. Over time, these small challenges accumulate, hardening your mental resolve and preparing you for bigger battles ahead. The discomfort you once feared becomes familiar, even welcome, because you know it means progress. What's fascinating is how this mindset rewires your brain. Your neural pathways adapt to new patterns of thought and behavior. By repeatedly embracing discomfort, you create new habits that eventually replace your old limiting beliefs. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual and requires persistence, but the payoff is freedom from the chains of your former self. When your mind is calloused, the old excuses lose their power, and you gain the ability to push through what once seemed impossible. Understanding that your limits are mental and learning to callous your mind are foundational steps to breaking free from the old self. They shift your relationship with pain, struggle, and failure from enemies to allies. The process demands courage because it means confronting discomfort deliberately, facing fears without running, and holding yourself accountable to higher standards. But the reward is a mind that no longer capitulates at the first sign of hardship, a mind that can endure and adapt beyond what you thought possible. If you can internalize this, the door opens to the next powerful step, looking honestly at yourself, owning your flaws, and building relentless discipline. But before that, it all starts with recognizing that your current limits are just a starting point, not a destination, and then deliberately toughening your mind so you can break through those limits day after day. One of the most powerful tools David Goggins shares on the journey to break free from your old self is what he calls the accountability mirror. This isn't just a metaphor or a catchy phrase. It's a practice that demands brutal honesty with yourself every single day. It means standing in front of a mirror and confronting the truth about who you really are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. No excuses, no sugarcoating, no blaming others. It's about owning your flaws, acknowledging where you've fallen short, and refusing to let those truths keep you stuck. Goggins talks about this as a way to break the cycle of self-deception that keeps so many people trapped in old habits and limiting beliefs. It's easy to live life avoiding discomfort, avoiding the harsh light of self-reflection because it's uncomfortable to admit your own shortcomings. But the accountability mirror forces you to stop hiding from yourself. When you look into that mirror, you confront every excuse you've ever made, every moment you gave up, and every fear that held you back. And here's the key. Once you face those things honestly, you give yourself the power to change. The I mirror becomes a place not of judgment, but of transformation. It's where you hold yourself accountable to the highest standards, not to punish yourself, but to empower yourself. This daily confrontation strips away the illusions that your mind has built to protect you but also imprison you. Goggins describes it as a kind of mental surgery, cutting away the lies you tell yourself so you can rebuild a stronger, more disciplined version of who you are. The process is uncomfortable, yes, but it's necessary. Without this level of self-honesty, change becomes impossible because you're constantly fighting a version of reality that isn't true. The moment you accept who you really are with all your imperfections is the moment you can start working toward who you want to be. But honesty alone isn't enough. It's what you do after that moment of truth that defines your transformation. And that's where relentless daily discipline comes into play. David Goggins is famous for his unwavering commitment to daily habits that push him beyond his comfort zone. He understands that motivation fluctuates, but discipline is what carries you forward when motivation fades. Breaking free from your old self requires more than inspiration. It requires a relentless dedication to consistent action, day after day. Discipline is the muscle that needs constant training. Whether it's waking up before dawn, grinding through a difficult workout, or tackling the hard tasks you'd rather avoid, these daily rituals build the foundation of a new identity. Goggins' life is a testament to this. His routine isn't glamorous or easy. It's brutal and demanding. But it's also the reason he's able to achieve feats that most people think are impossible. He teaches us that discipline isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the work even when it hurts, even when you're tired, even when your old self whispers for you to quit. And over time, these small, seemingly insignificant daily choices add up to massive change. The discipline you build becomes part of who you are. You start to see yourself differently, not as someone who gives up, but as someone who perseveres. You build momentum, and that momentum creates a new identity, a new self that no longer fits the old limitations. The habits you form become your armor against the setbacks and struggles life throws at you. This process of relentless discipline also rewires your brain, much like callousing the mind. Your neural pathways adapt to the new patterns of behavior, making discipline easier and more natural as you go. It's no longer a battle of willpower, but a new normal. Your mind begins to crave the challenge because it's tied to a deeper sense of purpose and growth. What's so powerful about combining the accountability mirror with relentless daily discipline is how they complement each other. The mirror holds you accountable and grounds you in reality, while discipline propels you forward despite that reality's challenges. Together, they create a feedback loop of continuous improvement. You see where you are, commit to the hard work required, push through discomfort, and then look in the mirror again to measure your progress honestly. Breaking free from your old self is not a single event, but a continuous cycle of honesty, discipline, discomfort, and growth. It requires courage to face yourself honestly and strength to keep moving forward no matter how difficult the journey becomes. But as you embrace these principles, you discover something remarkable. You begin to own your life in a way you never thought possible. You become the author of your story, not a passive character trapped by old habits and fears.